Hello guys, and welcome to Sacred Union, bringing you relevant resources for relationships. Hey guys, today I just wanted to discuss something that is a little more tailored to the men. Sorry ladies, this one is just one that is just for the men, and we've had a lot of requests that have come in, I guess, to me personally, and I just thought that I'm sure if there's a couple of guys in the house that are really thinking on topics like this, then it's likely that there's far more people that would love to hear what we have to say about this topic. So, drum roll. So today's topic is about stability. Say to your neighbor, stability. So oftentimes what I'm finding in general Christendom among young guys is most times guys come and they ask me, Elder Timi, I'm feeling like the season is coming up for me to get into marriage, and God has been speaking to me, and I'm just wanting to get any form of advice as to how to ready and prepare myself towards marriage. So that's a lovely thing, and that's something that I'm so happy that I'm hearing that a lot of men are really sensing that their time is kind of coming, because we're in a time where sometimes a lot of guys are afraid of marriage, and far that be from us, because we want loads of men to come forth and have awesome marriages that last the test of time, marriages that are an example to all the generations that are to come. So we really don't want that. But yes, on this question, basically what I have to say is a man that is in the right spiritual environment, a man that is already pursuing the Lord, one thing that is so key is stability. When it comes to being a husband, one of the things that is mainly required of you is the ability to be a rock, to be a foundation in the household, to be stable, to be able to be consistent. And that's consistent in so many things, consistent in your communication, consistent in your gifts, consistency in your love, consistency in your principles, consistency in your general view and your general person. And a lot of times we overlook this. Many times a lot of guys just feel like, okay, I just need to get a couple of things. I need to have a car and then a house and a bit of savings, and boom, like, let's do this. But there's a lot more to marriage than that. Those things are probably even less important on the higher spectrum of what a marriage actually really is, because ultimately a marriage is supposed to show the glory of Christ's love for the church, and in that other people are supposed to be brought into awe of who God is. Other people are supposed to be brought into the glory of God by your relationship. So the main thing I would say is that one of the secrets towards this thing of stability is actually being consistent in the small things. Oftentimes as men, we feel like, my next steps needs to be, I need to go on a missionary trip somewhere, I need to have a big massive business, I need to be earning a six-figure salary. Although those things are, those things aren't bad. And a six-figure salary is, that's awesome. But there's no point of looking at all of those things and you're late to work consistently. Your communication is terrible. You don't know how to speak to people. You have terrible relationships with people. You don't have any brothers. You just, there just can't be that disconnect. There has to be a level of just looking at what we would define the small things and beginning to grow in those things. So what I would say is that, when we're talking about stability, we're talking about somebody being able to do something very consistent. If we look at Jeremiah chapter 12 verse 5, it says that if the footmen have wearied you, how will you deal with chariots? And what that is really saying is, if you can't be faithful like David with sheep, how can you be a shepherd to a nation? If that makes sense. It's like saying that you want to put someone who is a student in medicine, to just put them take them to a hospital and just cause them to operate on people without them actually going through medical school, or going through the school to become a doctor. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. There has to be a working of the small. Jesus said that if you're faithful in the small, then he gives us much, he gives us more. You know, it says that he that has, I will give more unto him. What that means is that he who has worked with the grace that you have, whether it be 1, 2, 5 talents, it doesn't really matter how many. It's about what you do with what you have. And it's a thing that I commonly say, especially in business, those that are aspiring entrepreneurs. I always say it's not about how much money you have. It's not about so many things that we look at in terms of equipment or resource, but it's about what we do with what we have. And again, when we look at that parable, I think it's in Matthew chapter 25, I believe, it specifically says that there's one guy that has this one talent, and rather than actually going to trade with that talent and bring back more for the master, he keeps that talent and buries it under the ground. Now, many of us, we don't see it, but when we have small duties or small opportunities to be faithful, to steward things and be faithful, and we neglect those things and see it as a small thing, and we begin to disregard the importance or the value of that thing, what happens is that now we become unstable, because we're not able to carry out, even in the capacity we have, we're not able to walk in any form of consistency. So, you know, for some it might be punctuality. Maybe, you know, when you have a deadline or something starts at 9, you're the one that's always there at 9:01 or 9:10 or 9:15, and it's always, oh, the same thing, the train, I missed my train. You know, it's always the same thing. Like, maybe try to actually begin to make an effort to say that this one thing, maybe it might be getting to your work on time, getting to church on time, responding to people on time, trying to be consistent in the small things. It might even be your money.